Alright, so week 7 of Married at First Sight. As some of the contestants would say, we are reaching the pointy end of the experiment, and as a result, the task this week are couples meeting up with other couples, meeting up with partners, and asking each other questions about their relationships and how they're going. Honestly, these were pretty tame. The only big scandal, yet again, of course, was related to Jack. Now, the one he handled relatively well was Lauren and Jono basically confronting Tori and Jack and asking Tori, do you think, based on everything you've seen, Jack would be a good family man, a good father figure? To which Jack butts in and actually says, no, I don't think based on what you've seen, I would be a good father figure, but you don't see everything.
Do you feel at present he would be a good role model for your children?
I'll answer it like, when I'm getting presented on the couch, hell no. Not a good role model.
No.
But ever since the honeymoon, we haven't had ups and downs. It's just sort of been like this. And I feel like the external pressures, the ongoing battles, like the dinner parties and whatnot, it's normally the core of the issues.
And honestly, even though Jack is full of shit and he's clearly digging himself out of a grave that he has built himself, I actually thought this was probably the best answer he could have given, trying to take some level of accountability and just being like, yep, I've been a shithead. However, the issue is he continues to be a shithead all the fucking time. Like, he acknowledges, oh yeah, I've been shit, and that kind of has an implication of like, but I'm gonna turn it around, and then he proceeds to be worse. He then meets up with Jade and they start trading questions, and he opens with, hey Jade, like, you and Ridge are like one of the top 3 most attractive couples. It's like, dude,
you're in the top 3 for me for good looking couples right now.
it's like so transparent what he's doing here. Obviously he doesn't give a fuck if Ridge is attractive or not. He's basically saying, Jade, I find you attractive, Jade, you are hot, without like incriminating himself too much. Jade clearly sees through this and goes, well, he's clearly flirting, I'm gonna shoot this down. And then Jack, for no good reason, just decides to volunteer the information, oh, if we were on the outside, I'd definitely approach you, like blah 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 blah. It's so fucking strange. It's so strange. And then he confesses to Jade like, oh yeah, if I found Tori more attractive, if she was more my type, I would have had sex with her already.
Do you feel like you would feel different if you got matched to someone that was more similar to you?
Well, yeah, maybe the sex would have come quicker, yeah. Like if I had had a sexual spark with someone, all I can say is we probably would have had sex by now.
Would it always be Tori?
Is she like the greatest thing ever?
Yes.
Well, no.
So like all this bullshit about we're trying to build a spark and we're taking it slow, it's like, just be transparent, just be honest, you are not into her. And this has been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and now he's saying it to Jade and not Tori, and it's just so bloody bizarre. It's like Jack at this point has to know the game. Like, he has to know he's on TV, he has to know all these people talking, he has to know this is obviously going to come out at the dinner party. I feel like Jack's meant to be smart and a bit cunning, but he just continuously keeps incriminating himself. Now the other interesting thing to note is Timothy and Lucinda are actually getting along now. They've started cuddling, they actually even share a kiss this week, and they're starting to build this intimacy, which is great. However, they have this weird arc where they decide to just stir the pot and name themselves the bullshit police, and they basically write a letter anonymously claiming to be the bullshit police to Tori and Jack, basically saying, why haven't you guys slept together? We're calling bullshit on this relationship, which, like, first off, yes, valid given Jack and Tori. However, Lucinda and Timothy also have not slept together yet. It does feel a bit like pot calling the kettle black, but you know, whatever. But here's the thing, I'm actually loving Timothy and Lucinda. I'm glad to see them gain along. However, I have to say, as funny as it is, I don't really agree with this bullshit police letter. The reason I say that is because basically they say in the letter, oh, you guys should have a 3-way call, Jack, Tori, and the ex that he abandoned to come on this experiment and lie to. And it's like, at this point, that's been discussed, it's been gone over. It was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. What on earth could they possibly gain from having that 3-way call? What could they possibly gain? It is clearly them trying to like stir the pot and get a rise. And as much as I love the initial letter and then basically calling bullshit on the relationship, all valid points, I have to say I don't agree with what they requested from Tori and Jack. It feels a bit cruel and also just a bit weird.
You're mean.
Next, we have a definite highlight of the week, which is Andrea and Richard just completely fucking crumbling. It's so good. Basically, earlier on in the season, Richard had some like weird sex vibes. There was that whole photo ranking task where instead of just being respectful and being like, oh, well, I find this attractive and this is what I'd go for and like, this is my opinion, he literally was like sitting there going like, oh, she's got like a fine body. Oh, I love her dark skin. Oh. Very like weird. Like, he may as well have been licking his lips for half of that photo ranking task.
My type is girls with dark skin, They're very much my type. These two ladies are going to get ranked 1 and 2.
Wow.
On top of that, then he put his wife fourth, which just like, you know what, even if you think that, like, keep it internal, bro. What are you doing?
Like, just looks, nothing else. Over here.
But next, there was this later thing where on the couch, I think it was week 1 or week 2, they ask how the intimacy is going. And he basically goes, we licked, we sucked, we fucked. And Andrea kind of laughs it off. It's really interesting because when that was initially aired, they played this uplifting, triumphant music. They're like, oh, look at the oldies. Oldies can have a great sex life too. How triumphant, how beautiful. And I find that really interesting because now it's actually a point of contention. It's a really sore spot for Andrea. She basically brings up to Richard, I don't like intimacy being discussed that way, especially in a public setting. And he handles this like a fucking idiot. He gets defensive. He starts going, I didn't do that.
The term again, we're not effing, you know, in front of everyone again.
I didn't.
And yeah, you did. You really did.
Where?
I can't remember exactly where.
Like, so
okay.
what did you
Okay.
mention it to me then at the time? Or afterwards or anything, you know?
No.
It's never come up
No,
before.
I don't. I didn't.
Andy, I haven't done it since that incident on the couch. You're using that as an excuse for having a wall, and there's a wall between you and me, and it's your wall, and you're using that as an excuse to keep your wall up. So why do you have your wall up, Andy? Why do you really want to have a wall up? Because you're not into me.
Now, I do actually find this argument interesting because he goes, have I done that since then? She then pulls up 1 or 2 examples and he goes, I really don't remember doing that. Now, here's the thing. If Richard held himself better in that argument, I would have heard him out more. And the reason I say this is, yes, in a relationship, you should take accountability for what you've done and what you've done wrong, whatever, right? However, if she's genuinely misheard something or something did not happen, that is worth correcting and worth being like, hey, I will take accountability for saying that happened, but like that didn't happen. The issue is we see his argument style and we see the fact that he can just never give her anything. Basically invalidates every single problem that by the end of this conversation, by the end of this argument, you have no doubt that he is just a professional gaslighter. He just sits there constantly and goes, that's not true, that's not right, I didn't say that, and on top of that, you're in the wrong, it's your trauma and your ex and blah, blah, blah.
That is not the issue. The issue is you're not into me. The issue is you are blaming me.
I'm not
for
into
stuff.
you more than I've ever
You
not
are
been into
blaming
you right
me
now.
for stuff that you've had from your traumas and your past relationships.
He has no ability to communicate at all. He hasn't mastered the act of defending yourself where you're in the right and actually acknowledging the other person's hurt. He just can't do it. I also find it really interesting because as these arguments starts going on, he basically starts saying all these issues are because of your ex and it's this trauma coming up, which yes, past trauma coming into relationships is a valid thing. And it's probably something they've discussed. However, what it seems like is going on with Richard is he can't hold himself accountable at all. He doesn't want to look inwards, so he just goes, oh, everything that's happening here must be because we're on a rocky foundation due to you and your exes. This argument just keeps going and it's really, really bad. However, I do actually think Richard is right about one thing, and that's when he says to Andrea, you haven't been into me for 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. I think he's actually right. I think ever since he did that we licked, we sucked, we fucked moment, he gave her the ick and that's been it for the relationship. The issue is he hasn't given her the space or the time to like get over that or discuss it calmly and work forward. He's just been hammering her and being like, you don't like me anymore. You don't like me anymore. This is bullshit. We're not having sex, we're not doing this, and he's just basically like fast-tracked the inevitable end of this relationship. It is of my opinion that this always would have happened, but I think Richard, in the fact that he couldn't give her space, couldn't give her understanding, has basically exploded this relationship early. We then get to the dinner party episode. This dinner party episode opens with another great Richard and Andrea fight, where she tries to sit down with like a written note and says, I've got 7 minutes, like I want you to hear me. He interrupts, he constantly starts gaslighting her. They have this great exchange where she slams the paper on the table and goes, you're doing it again, you're gaslighting me. What sets this off is he actually has the gall to sit there and go, you're actually gaslighting me, which is obviously a sore spot for Andrea because when she came on this experiment, she did actually clarify that the reason she ended it with her previous partner was because she realized what gaslighting was from the show and realized she was being gaslit herself.
You're gaslighting me, Andy. I'm just sitting here listening to you.
You just did it!
Yeah.
So don't tell me I'm gaslighting
I'm not-
again. You're driving me crazy.
My body language is not sighing and puffing.
Instead of like answering Richie,
Andy,
stop!
Andy, listen.
Instead of
you've had
listening and
your
get...
7
No,
minutes,
I haven't had
my
7
friend.
minutes. I think
You've
it
had
was
your 7
3.4.
minutes, my friend, okay?
So yeah, basically Andrea says to Richard, like, you're huffing and puffing, you're not hearing me out. He says, you're gaslighting me, I'm not huffing and puffing. And I find this interaction interesting because rewatching that a few times, I wouldn't say exactly he's sitting there like really huffing and puffing. He just has this like irritating facial expression, which looks like he's pissed off to be hearing any criticism or any feedback or just have a discussion. Like he looks actively annoyed and irritated and gives off this vibe of like, you're beneath me, this is stupid. So when he pushes back and goes, I'm not huffing and puffing, maybe on a physical level he's right, but it cuts to his face and he's literally sitting there like... So it's like, I don't know. So I think in that argument, she's completely fair to say you're not being receptive. He comes back to that saying she's gaslighting. She slams the paper on the thing. And then they just have this weird like, no, I'm ending the argument. No, I'm ending the argument. You know, very similar to that thing you see in movies where it's like, actually, I'm breaking up with you. You know, Andrea's done with the conversation. She starts making herself a cup of tea and goes, you know what, if you don't want to talk, whatever. He then like comes back like the big man and he's like, oh, if you don't want to talk, if you don't want to work on this relationship, you can find another man. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? She's checked out. Like, this is just embarrassing. Take the fucking L. Then get to the dinner party. There are basically 2 highlights. The first one is essentially everyone starts coming after Tim and Sarah. Everyone starts saying, Tim, you shouldn't be with Sarah. She's disrespected you. She's cheating on you. Jaden's really pushing this. All the boys sort of start calling out to Tim. Dude, she's disrespected you. Dump her, dump her, dump her, dump her. I actually really respect Tim here. He listens to all this and he basically says, guys, like, I appreciate you looking out for me, but I've chosen to stay. Please lay off Sarah.
What am I supposed to do here? You know, like...
Leave, bro. That's what we want you to do.
Leave, man. Hold on. Let's just shut this down. Like, hold on. Enough. It's been a challenging relationship for both of us. And I appreciate the support, I appreciate the concern. But this is our relationship. Please respect our decision to try and make it work.
And you know what? I think this is Tim operating at peak boyfriend level. Now, yes, I don't like Sarah. All of Australia doesn't really like Sarah, but Tim has chosen to stay with Sarah. And I do actually think she's trying. As weird as this sounds, post the cheating scandal, this is actually the most I've liked Sarah. I know that's like a hot take. I know that's awful. But when she's sitting there on the couch going, yeah, it's brought us closer together, I'm kind of buying it. I know that's bad, but like you can see a physical change. Now, yes, is she probably just trying to repair her image and repair the relationship? Is she in overcorrection mode? Probably, but I mean, whatever. Like, she's trying, and so far, so good. So, hot take, I actually really respect Tim here being like, guys, please just leave it to us. We're trying. The other highlight of the dinner party is basically Richard and Andrea repeat that fight from earlier. Richard starts saying to the whole table, like, it's just not working. Andrea's hung up on her exes. She's dealing with past relationship trauma and bringing this into the relationship. And you can see the whole table is like, is this dude gaslighting her? Because she's raising all these current issues with Richard. And he's like, nah, that's an ex thing. Nah, that's projection. Nah. So you see the whole table being like, what the fuck is going on? And then Andrea yells at him again and storms off. Now, here's the thing. Do I like yelling? No. But I kind of get it with Richard. He is so fucking annoying. He gets so under your skin. He has no ability to listen. I kind of get that she starts cracking it. And I think everyone at the table is sort of like, yeah, whatever. Like, no one's seen there going like, oh, hey, calm down. Don't talk to him like that. Everyone's sort of like, yeah, okay.
One of the things that she said to me are very hurtful, very rude, very disrespectful, as if I am her ex.
Don't say that! For sake! Listen and just try, please.
Richie, I do love you, but like Andy's obviously in pain here and you keep on pointing out like her triggers.
I feel I have strong feelings for you, you know that. I always have it. I mean, we have a good time together. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, we do have loads of fun.
Now, next we have the commitment ceremony, and there are a few fatalities. Tristan and Cassandra are gone. This was cringe. This was painful. Thank God Tristan's gone. I'm sorry. I did not like him. I know he's a bit off and he's a bit funny. But I called it. The moment he got up in front of the experts and went, yeah, I hate myself, and expected Cassandra to carry that weight day in, day out, I knew the relationship was done for. She really tried. He kept the negative vibe going. It's really awkward too. She says leave, and he basically goes, yeah, I would have wanted to stay, but I'll write leave because I'm not going to keep her hostage. And then he basically does this speech of like, maybe in another life, like maybe down the line when I've worked on myself, we can get back together. And it's like, no, dude, you had your chance and you blew it. All you had to do was give her intimacy and work on yourself in private, and you just couldn't do that, you know? Cassandra tried. She was patient. If anyone was ever going to get him out of that, it would have been Cassandra. But he just couldn't stop self-sabotaging. She just needed a little intimacy, a little growth, and on top of that, that outburst he had, did not like it. Tristan's gone. He's clearly in Delulu land thinking that they'll like pair pair up again one day. It's like, absolutely not.
You broke my heart, but I'm glad you were the one who broke my heart. You know, you're the first person I've told I'm falling in love for. And either way, it didn't work out. You're stuck in my life forever. And maybe a little bit longer I can work on myself, and maybe we can reconnect in the future. So I said, stay, Lee. Sadly.
Oh, sorry.
But in saying all that, happy for Cassandra. And you know who would make a good couple? Cassandra and Tim. Absolutely. Both emotionally intelligent people, would love to see it. Next we have Tim and Lucinda. They're going well, which is really good to see. They actually kissed the night before. Tim had a bit of a breakdown, realizing how much time he's wasted being sad and angry at the world. And I actually really respect that. I was really harsh on Tim in early weeks, but he's really grown, really changed, and I'm actually surprised to see it. Normally with these men that are like, men can't show emotions, the world is cruel, they don't really get out of that, but he's clearly like trying to get out of that. So yeah, really proud of Tim. Unexpected.
Because I am used to being alone. I guess just being around Lucinda.
Gorgeous big heart.
I can see, and maybe there's a better way to live.
But next we have the highlight of the episode, which is Jack and Tori getting absolutely taken to town by John. He basically gets up and goes, guys, I'm calling bullshit on this whole relationship. So clearly he had a meeting with the bullshit police, Tim and Lucinda, but he just starts going and going and going. It really feels like the producers were just like, hey, can you like bring in some drama, please, John? But yeah, he just starts going off and he's like, no, this is not right. You would have been sleeping together. Tori, how do you even like this guy? And I love it because they picked Jack for Tori. So it is really kind of funny to watch them all sit there and go, Jack sucks. Why are you still with him? Get rid of him, girl. Like, he sucks. What are you doing? Now, look, again, respect to Tori. Like, she likes this guy. She keeps defending him, but it's just like, at what cost, babe? Like, you are being a great wife to literally the worst guy ever. I don't know what is going on. He must be absolutely amazing behind closed doors. But it's like, is he? Like, is he? Is he just really calm and pleasant? I think what's going on is they'd be amazing roommates, they'd be amazing friends, not amazing romantic partners. Like, I think they'd be amazing as, like, a brother-sister dynamic. Like, Jack gets home from the club and goes, oh, I met this girl, like, blah, 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 blah. Can you give me advice? She gives good advice, and vice versa. But, like, as a couple, absolutely not. Why aren't they smashing? I don't get it. Yeah, so John basically keeps going and going and going and going, and Tori just won't give him anything. And John essentially gives up and goes, well, what's the decision? They go stay, and he goes, oh, fucking all right. Hilarious. Next we have Richard and Andrew leave. Richard basically says, like, you know what? We had an amazing first 2 weeks, and then it's been downhill since there. So essentially downhill since he said the lick suck fuck comment. Again, I stand by the idea that she got the ick from there and the relationship was over. And he didn't have the emotional skills to basically bring her back and save the relationship. But in an absolutely brutal moment, Richard says, those first 2 weeks were amazing. And Andrew goes, yeah, those first 2 weeks were amazing because we didn't know each other, and basically we were just fucking. And once we got to know each other, this did not work at all. Absolutely brutal. Can you imagine sitting there at the end of a relationship saying to the other person, we had it so damn good, like, what happened? Like, we were so amazing together. And then basically the other person goes, yeah, we were really good when we didn't know each other, but once we got to know each other and once I got to know you, I could not fucking stand you. Relationship over. Absolutely brutal for Richard. Copped the massive L, and they've both left the experiment at this point.
It's probably no shock to anyone. Richie and I have agreed to just leave.
I've written leave too as well.
Yeah.
But next, unfortunately, we have this really weird arc for Jaden and Eden. Now, look, I know people don't like Jaden. I know it's really hard to get past the whole I banged my ex's friend in front of my ex, and like rightfully so, right? But Jaden and Eden have been one of the best couples ever. However, I'm really struggling to wrap my head around this conflict because I can see both sides, so I want to explore that a bit. Basically, the setup here is that after Jaden and Eden confronted Sarah and Tim about the fact that Sarah was cheating on Tim, Jaden has found out more. Jaden's apparently found out that when that cheating was happening, she was also talking shit about Tim to the ex and apparently saw receipts from his wife, Eden.
Eden shared a rumor with Jaden that Sarah and her ex were mocking Tim behind his back when they met up.
Apparently, Sarah has been saying some nasty things. She and her ex were sort of laughing and having a joke about Tim, saying things like, he's not the right one for him, he's not man enough.
But this morning, Eden and Jaden have had a huge argument over whether to reveal this information at tonight's commitment ceremony.
Eden, you know, she doesn't like confrontation. She doesn't want anyone else to know what's going on. And she said, if you're going to tell that story, I'm done with you and I'm leaving. So she's threatening to leave me and leave the experiment, and I don't really know what to do.
So he basically says to Eden, Tim needs to know this. Eden starts pushing back and going, it's over, we've done it, like, just leave it, please don't blow it up anymore. It's my friend, she told me this, I want to keep it private. But yeah, Jaden gets on the moral high horse and is like, no, we absolutely have to tell Tim. And apparently Eden set an ultimatum and said, if you do this, I will leave you. If you go against my wishes and bring this thing up that I've told you not to tell someone, I will leave you. Now, Jaden thinks it's the right thing to do, brings it up in front of the couch, doesn't really get him anywhere. Tim doesn't care. Again, Tim is trying to grow a relationship with Sarah. I don't know why Jaden's bringing this up. And then we get to this couch bit where essentially Jaden starts having a breakdown and says, I'm really hurt because I do X, Y, Z. I take care of her. I try to take care of her anxiety. And then this one disagreement we have, she's ready to throw in the towel. And apparently she said to him, why can't you do one nice thing in your life for me?
Because I wouldn't do one thing. You blew up at me and you said, why don't you just do something? Why don't you do something nice for me for once in your life? That got to me, and that's like, I don't know if Eden is everything that I thought.
Now, that's an incredibly harsh thing to say. And I'm hearing Jaden here. Like, I get his point, basically saying, like, I try and take care of her. I try to be a good partner. And this one disagreement we have, she's willing to throw in the towel. That's really hurtful. I completely get that. And I'm with him there. That's really fucking tragic. However, the fight they're having, I'm struggling with. I kind of don't agree with him on that. So I'm finding this really hard to wrap my head around. She said a really hurtful thing and a really unfair thing, but I get why she's annoyed at him. She should be able to come home and vent and decompress and tell him gossip and tell him juice and basically say like, hey, I'm just struggling with this, without him being like, I'm going to betray your trust and then air this out in front of everyone because it's the right thing to do. However, this is a dynamic we've seen play out on Married at First Sight a few times. We have seen it literally this season where Jono told Lauren something that Jack said and Lauren brought it up at the table and Jono was uncomfortable about that. And I do want to call out something here. I can't tell if it's a gender double standard or it's just situational, but I have found that previously in these situations, when a woman brings up gossip presented to her from her man about another couple, they will bring it up because it's the right thing to do. And normally the guys are seen as the bad ones for having an issue with that and having an issue with something told in confidence being brought up. However, in this situation, I feel like Jaden is seen as the bad guy. Now, I've always been of the opinion throughout watching Married at First Sight and just in life in general, you should be able to go to your partner about something without them instantly running to tell the town. Sometimes you just want someone to talk to, and if you go, hey, please don't tell anyone, they should respect that. Otherwise, you just don't share that information with them. So yeah, I'm really struggling because I think Jaden should have respected Eden's wishes at this point, especially because he already pushed her and told Tim about the actual cheating itself. So what is there to gain? This happened before the cheating or during the cheating. They've worked past the cheating, and to me what it feels like is Jaden just wants to see Tim and Sarah break up and will not drop it, and any piece of information he gets, he must tell them. Now yes, do I think Jaden was right to tell Tim about the cheating initially? Absolutely, and that's why Eden eventually came on board, but that was tough, and I still get why Eden was bothered there. But this one, he needs to drop it. They've already done the cheating. That's already caused damage to Eden and Sarah's friendship. So it's like, why is he pushing this? And why is he not listening to his wife saying, please don't say this. Please leave it. Please stop making drama. I'm just going to look untrustworthy and I want to be able to talk to you as a partner. Now, however, saying all of that, even though I don't agree with Jaden's decision, I do empathize with the story he told at the end of the relationship. Basically this idea that he's trying to hold her emotions, trying to look after her, trying to learn. And it's really hurtful that over this one disagreement, she can say things like she's going to end the relationship and he never does anything nice for her. I get that. I get why that's so hurtful and so earth-shattering and just so difficult. But it's like, maybe you need to sit there and kind of wrap your head around the fact that, okay, maybe she doesn't need flowers every single day. Maybe what she does need is someone who respects her wishes regarding trust and confidence and what's told behind closed doors. Now, pushing this issue even further, I do agree with Jaden's choice to push Eden to tell Tim and Sarah about the cheating initially. Absolutely. But in terms of this, it has to be a moment of pick your battles. It's not big enough to blow up your relationship, and he should have just dropped it. He should have been like, look, if I was you, I'd be telling Tim, but fine, I guess they've already worked past the cheating. This isn't as bad. Whatever, I'll respect your wishes. Because at the end of the day, like, it's your wife, dude. Like, you have to come home to that, and she needs to be able to trust you. But separate to that, watching his speech about their relationship and about how he feels underappreciated was really hard to watch. I just can't help but feel like there's a slight manipulative angle of him trying to win this issue overall, even though he didn't respect Eden's wishes. It'll be really interesting to see how this ages. I'm still thinking about this issue myself because I actually think it's quite complex. I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, and I'll be back for next week for another MAFS review. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day.